Hello folks, it's Startup Different here on the floor of Collision. I've got another interview and I like this guy already. His name is David, hell of a name, and we're going to be covering Lumina Energy today. So glad I nailed that name. David, tell me about it. What are you doing here? What is this all about?
Sure. So we're basically breaking into the Canada market right now. We're focusing heavily on creating a virtual power plant subscriber program that allows for an energy as a service platform to be developed. Now, in Canada, especially in Toronto, you guys predominantly work with hydropower, but instead we're working on a decentralized solution. So we currently operate in Chicago, and we have beta programs running across the United States, as well as a couple of other countries. The idea behind what we do is effectively to create an auxiliary power system that's called demand response. So many organizations and many countries and municipalities and so forth, there's an inherent issue of just power generation and being inadequate. So the solution behind that is we are able to basically power any commercial or residential property with either solar panels or wind turbines and connect them all together with a piece of software. And also we work heavily in battery storage as well. So when you connect all those things, instead of having one power supplier, now you have hundreds of thousands of them.
It's really interesting. You know, I actually have solar panels on my house. And here in Toronto, we do net metering. So basically, I just give the juice back to the thing and it pays against my bill, my hydro bill most of the time. How did you come up with this? Like, did you have were you big into energy? Like, how did this happen?
So I'm actually a software engineer, but we have a pretty incredible team that we're working with that works heavily in the energy sector as well as blockchain, AI as well. I was a pilot prior to doing this, so I traveled around the world and I got an understanding of sort of the world at large and a lot of the issues that plague humanity, one of which being an energy crisis. So I was actually in Thailand. It's a funny story. I was walking around and there was a kid who was actually doing his homework in front of a 7-Eleven, like full-on desk setup and everything. And I'm like, well, what is this all about? So I walked up to his parents and I asked, I said, what's going on? And they said, well, we don't know when our energy is going to come back on. And I said, I could probably figure this out. Now, the inherent issue there is the government and a lot of the infrastructural problems that occur are because the government, they just don't invest enough energy. They don't invest enough time into, working with outside developers. And so their entire grids are usually held together by duct tape and bubble gum.
Whoa, okay. So you're thinking, like boldly, you're thinking you're better than duct tape and bubble gum.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. It's really interesting. I love the idea. Very, very cool. And I also like the idea that, you're helping some people that really need this as well. And also, Thailand is one of my favorite countries. I actually went there for my honeymoon. So, love it. Okay, can you tell me about one startup myth, something that surprised you that you would share with any founder here today?
Sure. Well, I will speak on my specific industry. I think that there's a problem with there being a barrier to entry for breaking into the energy market. A lot of people think that it's just for big money companies, multi-billion-dollar seed funds and so forth like that. But it's not true. There's many ways to permeate the market, one of which being to partner with governmental organizations. So to dispel that myth, we've been able to propagate our services over the course of 3 years into 5 countries now. Yeah, and that on a shoestring budget, mind you.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have funding, or how are you doing that right now?
We have a pretty solid client base now. We're in the market, but we've never raised any rounds of funding at all.
Yes. You're talking to two guys that bootstrap their business. So naturally we're like, if you don't have to get the funding, great. And that's very impressive. In your particular, I definitely would have thought energy equals big funding, big investment, big infrastructure. I love the idea of almost like guerrilla energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, well, thanks so much, David. Really appreciate it. Folks, that's another interview here on the floor of Collision. And thank you so much. We'll join you for another one here really soon.